say I'm so grateful that you're here. One of the things that I had been so excited of the last few years as we got to talking was about starting the podcast and doing a podcast. For those of you that don't know me that well, it's one of these things that I had been told my whole life. Do you have a show? Do you have a show? Like every time I speak on stage or do a training or teach a class, people were like, do you have a radio show? You should have a show. So as we really dug in and started thinking of the best ways to give back to the small business community, the one thing that kept lighting me up and getting me so excited was the podcast. So I'm so excited that you guys are here, and I can't wait for us to dive deep into the 5 lessons learned, keys to success every business owner needs to know. I spent a lot of time journaling and doing reflection this year. It's something I do all the time, but this year was like, it brought me so much joy, and it was such a good, stress relief. It really kept me grounded in dealing with all the uncertainty that we face this year. So I have to say that a lot of this came out of me taking the time to really wake up early if I needed to get the time in I needed to do reflection. So that is one of the things that's super, super helpful. When you can create time for reflection in a way that brings joy because you're doing something that you love, I mean, that to me is like the most amazing success that you can have, because when you're doing something you love and you're able to reflect on it, I think it's just really juicy and delicious. So, number 1, so we can dive right in here. Number 1 lesson I learned, and I strongly encourage you guys to take a minute, whatever your form of reflection is, really take a minute or two, or whatever you're into, to go over the 5 biggest lessons or your 5 biggest takeaways this year. For me, this seemed fitting because this is episode 5. So this was like a perfect, like, oh, we're on episode 5. Let's do 5 lessons learned. I probably have dozens more, but these I would say are the top 5. So to me, it was like, we plan and God laughs. Like that was one of those things where I feel as if planning is still such a good thing. Like I'm so grateful that I did goal set and that I do plan, because I know by having goals, I was able to set things up in my life that really almost prepared me for this unforeseen circumstances that we faced. So I go back to the thing of, we plan, God laughs. It's funny to me because even if you plan and organize, like you never have control. So I think it's really important that we understand that goal setting is just a dream that has specific measurements attached to a date. So some people are afraid of goal setting, and I love it because it's like a way to measure and track. So even if I have so many goals, like say I had 20 goals, okay, great. Maybe I only hit 10, but if I didn't have any, then what would I wouldn't even know that I didn't have anything that I was growing or chasing after. So to me, I would never look at it like, oh, there's 10 things I didn't do. I know that in time I will get to those 10. I look at, wow, I accomplished 10 things. And this was a huge mind shift change for me. And it's a constant learning and reapplying. It's definitely not a set it and forget it. So for those of you that think like, oh yeah, I know I need to have the right mindset, knowing and doing are always 2 different things. So until you are doing it more of the time than you're not, you are constantly in a state of needing to, learn and apply that mindset technique. So number 2 would be the way we think it will be, or even that it has to be a certain way, is not always what will be. So, what I mean by that is that, we might have a goal and vision or even a dream for what we want to accomplish. And we think, oh, it's going to be like this. It has to be like this. Realizing that you can achieve your dreams, like you can live your life's dream and mission and achieve all of your goals by releasing, just being okay with whatever way you got there, it's okay. Like I had the dream and goal of knowing I wanted to help 10,000 business owners. And it's so crazy because if you asked me a year ago, even 2 years ago, how I would have gone about doing that, I had a very specific map in place. And for those of you that like have goals, like I take my goals to the next level and I do like mind maps, whether it's crazy drawings or I literally will sometimes go and Google and create my own little mind maps with circles and lines, and I will really map out what I think is going to be the way for me to achieve a specific goal, dream, or vision. So when we learn to just say, hey, this is the goal, I'd like this or something better, and then just lean into it, we're so much better prepared for knowing that every day in life, there's a lot of uncertainty. We really don't have control over much, and that's okay. That's actually what's exciting about getting up every day. And if we can just lean into it and trust in the fact that things may not be the way they were, but we can be open to something even better, even more juicy and more amazing than we had ever hoped or dreamed possible. I believe that works best. So that brings me up to point number 3 of the lessons learned. Leaning into your dreams, no matter which way they take you, definitely brings the greatest joy. So I think in the past, I had been very rigid in thinking I had to do, like I said, mind map it out and stress about, oh, it has to be this way. It has to be this way. It's going to be this way. Do it this. And if you really just focus on the end result, but then leaning into it, because oftentimes the best stories, the best movies are usually based on real life, right? And that story is told in a way that makes you go, wow, that character started out wanting X and they just show them, making mistakes and not getting there. And then all of a sudden, the most unexpected thing happens. And that's how they achieve that biggest dream and goal in a bigger, grander way than we could have ever dreamed possible. So just leaning into your dreams, doubling down on, the dreams you have is just amazing. So definitely do that. I know it sounds scary, but if this year has taught us anything, it is that we never know what tomorrow is going to bring, and we really don't have control. So if we just embrace the fact of knowing that, we never had control anyway. We never did. And that's the fun part. We can still set goals, still vision, and even daydream about what we want, the way we want things to be, but then not grip too tightly to how it's supposed to happen.